Now live from New York is Jerry Saltz. He's an art critic from New York Magazine. Jerry, we heard you in John Berman's piece. I want to read part of the review you wrote earlier this year about the former president's paintings. You referred to the ones of him in the shower as, quote, simple and awkward, but in wonderful, unself-conscious, intense ways. They show someone doing the best he can with almost no natural gifts except a desire to do this. So you are something of a fan of the effort, if not the execution.
I love that we have an ex-president making paintings. I mean, imagine had we seen Abe Lincoln paint himself naked in the bathtub. This is really unusual stuff. And I loved the kind of oddity of it, the eccentricity, the feeling that this guy was just trying to paint this very private world. He painted in the weight room, he paints in the shower. It was kind of weird, and I always thought of him as a gremlin on the wing of America, and then I went into shock because I actually like some of these paintings.
And now we have the ability to compare his growth, the works he did earlier with the works he's doing now. How do you, when you look at some of the early ones, the shower period, if we'll call it, how do you compare that, for instance, with the portrait he did of Jay Leno, which really was not bad? What's the value of these paintings, even if just from a historical standpoint?
Well, first about the value, I would buy one for a few $100s and donate it to the Whitney Museum of American Art. Celebrity art sometimes costs in the realm of tens of thousands of dollars. Sylvester Stallone, Frank Sinatra, a lot of others. I actually think, however, that the ex-president took a step backwards, honestly, in this work, where before he was painting things that the camera could not see, the way a camera can't take a picture of heaven or hell. Now he's just giving us a much more conventional photographic realism, and there's kind of no insight. It's a very typical, generic skill set, and I really wish I could talk to him and say, look, we're not going to see eye to eye on anything, but I can help you. You're no Rembrandt, but now you're just becoming a hack, and I don't want any painter to be a hack, even George W. Bush.
You said you would pay a few $100s for that, but certainly he can command much more than a few $100s for one of his paintings.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, as I said, celebrity art can cost a lot. Sylvester Stallone, as I said, has an exhibition up, a big one, in Russia right now. So I don't think what the real issue is, honestly, is that any American museum would be well served to have paintings by an ex-president. Imagine that, seeing into the mind of Thomas Jefferson or Martin Van Buren, for that matter.
But you can't anticipate that he would be welcomed warmly into the arms of the art world in New York City.
I would. If he continues making the better early work, I'd love to write about his work. If he would just keep making it. He said the thing that everybody in the art world agrees with: art changed my life. I take painting seriously. Again, I sort of went into shock when I heard him say it, but I agree with George W. Bush on those two things.
All right, Jerry Saltz, thank you so much for your perspective. We appreciate it.
Thank you.